Well, hello everybody. Hello Shito. How's it going? Yes, there's a little bit of confusion in the announcements channel. We were intending to start at 6 o'clock. However, I apparently completely failed to mention that 5:30 was actually the correct time. Duh, welcome back to the lab. Thank you so much for stopping by. How is everybody today? I need to close that out, get that back into the Medgebot. I am 10 kinds of prepared for today. How is everything? How was everybody's weekend? Again, I apologize for the what was it, 2 Fridays in a row that I believe the lab missed. There's a lot of stuff going on outside of the lab, so which is very difficult for me to actually just dig in and get to stream. So I just decided each time that it was better to just call it. So had to make that decision, and that decision was hard, but everything was fine. I'm first time playing laser tag. Ooh, laser tag. Laser tag is a staple. Although my definition of laser tag, I suppose, is a little rough. I'm thinking of well, you've got the laser tag that was intended for home, which is like this teeny tiny little vest thing that you put on, and you went around and shot each other with little infrared LEDs. I think is what it was at the time. But then you scale that up to like you go to a Dave and Buster's or a Chuck E. Cheese or whatever makes sense to be around you. And that's when you get the things that felt like Space Marine armor, and then these massive guns, but they were really just like 90% plastic, and the other 10% maybe was for the laser stuff, which was always interesting. But I remember laser tag. Laser tag was fun. So I hope you had fun on your first adventure playing sheet, though. Let me get the tea down here. I do apologize in advance. My voice is a little bit strained. I think I hit at least here we've had a lot of fluctuating weather. So we've had a couple of days that were actually really nice. It was somewhere around the I want to call it the 72 to 75 range. Yeah, I think that's about right. So according to Google, that'll be a 23C, give or take, 22 to 23C. And it was beautiful those couple of days, except that considering where I live, we couldn't have a consistent stay at that time. Stay at that temperature. It kind of fluctuated. It went 22 to 28 to 24 to 27, and it just kept going up and down, up and down, up and down. And I think my allergies are throwing a bit of a what do we want to call that? A bit of a coup d'état against me. So yes, we had pistols and just a helmet. It was an underground laser tag in Berlin and a Luftschutz bunker? Ooh, interesting. Now that is proper. Oops. I'm just throwing things all over the place today. One moment, so sorry. There we go. Phil, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the lab. The versions that we had were just like rooms with flashy black lights in a bowling alley, I think. So it was far from what I would consider to be a proper, I guess you call it a proper bunker experience, but still. Our ceremonial cup of tea is ready. All right, so gonna kind of jump into things today. If you're someday in Berlin, we go there. Absolutely, I will be all for that. Okay, so let me get the code cam up and running. Kind of jumping in today because I do feel like I'm kind of making up time in a way, but at the same time I've kind of got this bug to really dig in to a couple of things. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I know we kind of caught people off guard. It was supposed to be 6, but it's 5:30. What can you say?
So, how are you holding up? Because I'm a potato.
I'm holding up, Ina, and thank you so much for the subscription. Oh my goodness. Welcome to the lab. Honorary lab assistant confirmed. How are you doing, mate? Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I will more listen than participate, just playing a new game. No worries, mate. Thank you so much for the lurk. Your presence is much appreciated. Participation is not required. As you can see, my brain is somewhat Bork partitioned, so I'm good just stopping by. No worries, mate. Hopefully you are spending more time in sorceries chat, because that is some proper alien isolation. And for anybody that may be in that is not aware, Sorcery and Sarcasm, which is our lovely mod, she is currently streaming Alien Isolation for Spooky Week. Definitely worth a look. And Guitar as well. Okay, hold on a second. We're gonna give Guitar a raid as well, or a shout out as well. There we go. He's playing Resident Evil 7.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Ina, you madman. Thank you so much, mate. Have a great stream. Hi, bye. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, mate. Okay, so Ina kind of kicking the door down, throwing subs at everybody, and then busting out. Thank you so much, mate. I appreciate it. Oh my goodness. Isn't she with the drawing stream? She did do a drawing stream. That was kind of I think that was the 100 follower kind of community gift, if you will. And I think it's going to keep going.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Oh my goodness, Shinagawas, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the lab. Lab coats are available upon request. However, they are digital, and therefore we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit, but they will be provided. Oh my goodness. Such support for the beginning of the stream. I can't even. All right, let's see here. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I'm kind of flustered now. What am I going to do? There we go. I wanted to make that bigger. Oh my goodness, and Sunmar, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the lab, or welcome to the lab. Oh my goodness, my brain. I'm 10 kinds of flustered now. Thank you so much, everybody. So, what we wanted to do for today, I wanted to kind of jump right in, because there is a feature that I have been needing for the last couple of weeks. And that is, I wanted to do a little bit of extension on the auto messaging capability. So again, for anybody who may be new, we are building a Twitch bot in Go. We are using the Twitch IRC to connect to chat as we see it here. And we built a couple of features into the bot, which, as I was kind of building out this Trello board, it didn't really hit me how much we've actually done until seeing the Trello board. So yes, if you've never seen a Trello board before, and if you've never heard an American speak English, well, that's nothing new. Black Marvel, thank you so much for stopping by. How you doing, mate? Ina just kind of busted into the lab door, threw a bunch of subs at everybody, and then yeeted on out back to Guitar Stream. So yeah, he was a mad lad. The lab bots wanted to stop him, but they just weren't fast enough. How you doing, mate? Thank you so much for stopping by. Yes, so we have a couple of features in here, and there were two features that I was thinking of having for what I'm considering the MVP So I have all these tags or these labels that are assigned to each of these features, if we will, and that's kind of what I wanted to do for the Trello board. Kanban style, to do, work in progress, or done. Do I want to be famous? No, I don't want to be famous. I want to be a scientist, and scientists aren't famous. That's actually not true. I don't technically want to be a scientist. I would prefer to just be a humble software developer. So for each of these, I've added a label, and for each of these labels, we have MVP1, which is minimum viable product. MVP1 is what we would be considering working on right now. MVP2 is kind of the immediately after the first release. This is the next set of functionality that I would absolutely want to work on. And technically speaking, we just had a little bit of a change in priority, so we're going to reflect that on the Kanban board. And then Horizon 1, Horizon 2, and basically anything beyond that is kind of we know that we want this type of functionality, but it's not something that we would really be working on right now. But we want to track those features so that we don't forget about them. So that is kind of the TLDR for how we have the Trello board set up. So in terms of a reprioritization, this add custom auto message configuration, what this effectively means is that I would like to be able to customize the message, the welcome message that is used by the auto greeter. So let's see here. So auto greeter's message should be customizable external to the app. And there's a couple of other thoughts that kind of popped in as I was thinking about that feature, because this has kind of come up a couple of times now, I think, which is this idea of multi-stream-ish. Basically, the idea would be that this bot, the singular bot, would potentially be able to listen in on multiple streams and then operate inside of multiple streams at a time. Now, right now, we're not really doing that. The bot is more kind of leaning towards a... Do you want to call it a mod tool? Not really. It doesn't really have mod features, technically. And I don't really know that I want it to have mod features, because that would be very, very interesting. Like MooBot, Nightbot, etc. Exactly. So what I'm kind of doing, Sunmar, is I'm taking little bits of functionality from various bots, and we're basically taking a stab at implementing it ourselves here in this bot. And mostly the reason is just because it was kind of fun. It kind of sounded like a fun idea, and it's actually becoming useful. So that's kind of why I'm starting to put some more structure around the things that I really want this to do. So yes, I did say that I was going to reprioritize, and I think I was going to reprioritize the auto thank followers and auto thank subscribers. So originally I was thinking, well, if we spend the time to get the bot able to greet or to automatically thank followers and subscribers, that would be a great MVP. However, I started to think about how I actually wanted to do this particular piece. And by the way, Vault integration for Twitch token is actually done. So, har. This feature, this ability to kind of configure on a per stream basis what the auto greeter's greet functionality basically looks like, that started to become a little more interesting to me. So that's kind of what I would like to kind of focus in on. Let's see here. I started working on a Twitch bot a while back as well, but I never reached the useful stage, so this is fun to watch. Fantastic. It's kind of become useful for me mostly because of my moderation responsibilities. That's the word I was looking for, because I speak English. Contrary to popular belief, English is in fact my first language. I am just very tired. But yes, because of my mod responsibilities, there's a couple of things that I could foresee this bot being able to do. And so that's kind of inspired me to really dig into very specific feature functionality. hence the auto mod or auto custom. So the general idea for what I was thinking, and I don't actually remember. Yes, I don't think we actually did anything to this yet. Or maybe I did. Let's see. Yes. So another thing that I did want to comment on is that I did take inspiration from Shito's pull request about the change in folder structure, and I did want to spend just a quick minute on that. So I think in general, I'm probably going to do a slightly simpler packaging approach than what was described in the pull request, which I need to actually pop in Medge Labs StreamBot. Pull this up here. So in effect, there was a bit of a repackaging that happened that Shito recommended that brought in this internal package structure. And what this is reflecting is a very common Go packaging layout that also has meaning inside of the Go tooling. But the thing that I think I'm going to hold off on is the use of internal package. And the reason that I was going to hold off on that is because most of the justification around internal package is to prevent people from importing your code, code that you don't intend for them to import. So you can think of this as kind of being a library responsibility. If you are building a library that is intended to be used by other people, then that internal package packaging, if you will, makes a lot of sense. It kind of tells people, and I think I heard correctly that the tooling actually enforces this, things that exist inside of this internal package will not be resolvable if they try to import that code. The reason that I'm going to bypass that just a bit is that I don't really have that requirement and I don't really have that intention. I don't really have the intention for this code to be released as a library. What I actually intend for this to be is just a standalone kind of by itself bot, the code repository. So I am going to take some inspiration from this PR though, because I did like the way that this was packaged a little bit. This is the root project, exactly, Sunmar. This is the root feature. This is the root product. I don't really intend for this to be exported to other projects. Maybe in the future, and that's part of the reason why I'm taking a bit of inspiration from the package layout. But for the time being, we're just going to do a slightly simpler, more domain-focused approach. All right, just want to put that over there. So I am going to close this. Closing for now. We are going to take inspiration from the domain separation, but won't be following the internal packaging just yet. And thank you so much for the PR, because you always want to thank people for even if the pull request doesn't get merged in, you should always thank people for the effort that they put in, and thank you to Shito for putting in the effort to really dig into this code base and attempt to support the code with that packaging format. Again, very much appreciated. What we are going to do, though, is we are going to do a slightly flatter approach. We're going to package by domain. And domain in this particular case is a little loose, but here's what it kind of sort of looks like. So right now, everything exists inside of the bot package. So we have the ledger, we have these handlers, we have all kinds of stuff that's in here. But right now, I do agree that there are some things that exist in bot that really don't need to be in bot. And I was kind of thinking about this a little bit over the last couple of weeks that we missed. The bot and these handlers are effectively adapters in a way. You're kind of adapting, or you're making a bridge between the bot and the bot's business logic and the external code that makes that logic actually work. So for example, if we take the greet handler, right now this is a very kind of a monolithic handler. It kind of does all things, if you will. It takes in a ledger, it registers the handler, and then inside of this function is the actual business logic for greet functionality. It's a very simple example, but it kind of demonstrates, I think, my point, which is that these handlers are kind of bridges to the bot. It gives the bot the capability to actually run business logic for things like automatically greeting, whereas something like a ledger, while it is technically used by the greeter, the ledger is not necessarily bot specific. It's not necessarily a bot specific piece of functionality. And additionally, some of the logic that exists inside of this handler is kind of, it's like it's in the bot, but it's technically greeting. So it's just that domain of how do I greet somebody? Again, this is a very, very simple example, but the general idea of that kind of separation of concerns and laying out your code such that if I wanted to change the way that the greeter actually works, well, currently, in order for me to do that, which we are actually going to do today, in order to change this part, which currently is just a hard-coded thing, well, I would have to add another dependency into this register greeter, which is however I intend to get these messages into the bot. And that just starts, this function will start to grow very, very quickly. So what I would like to do is I would actually like to split this code up a little bit. And I would like to make these boundaries, as Sunmar described. I would like to make these boundaries just a little less transparent, if you will. And yes, it is always a fun rabbit hole to fall down the boundary discussion. I used to have a kind of like a mental model of, if I want to have a boundary somewhere, or if I was thinking of where do I have a boundary, I typically go for things that are external to the application. So this would be databases, caches, HTTP APIs, anything that does not exist in memory with this particular application. That would at least be the kind of the first layer of attack for what defines a boundary. Oh, hello. Do you have a preferred pattern on how to split your domain, or rather what terminology you prefer? I think the answer is yes. I'm kind of one of those people that prefers to keep things together until I recognize that they can be split. If that makes any sense. Lurking. Oh my goodness, there's a Spooky lurking in the lab. Thank you so much for stopping by, Spooky. Hope you are doing well, having a good day, and thank you so much for the lurk. Shout out to Spooky Ghost Machine, by the way. She is one of my all-time favorite streamers, and she is kind of the way that I prefer to start my day. So she's a fantastic streamer and definitely worth a look. In terms of my preferred pattern, I kind of prefer to have things combined until I know that they can be split. And a little of this comes from PTSD from the financial industry. Have a little bit of, like, you would think that, say, a payment and a person and a record, an account record, You would think that those things could be separate domains because they are technically separate domains, but they are kind of interlinked with each other. Well, it's that interlinking that kind of makes it very, very difficult to actually split code out without just unnecessarily creating class files. So yeah. I kind of take this approach where it's like I make it work in kind of a combined fashion, and then I evaluate it and say, okay, well, what makes sense to split up? What is actually something that stands alone? And then I go and split the code out and make it a little bit cleaner. I don't really prefer to make that that call early though. Let's. Oop. I just bless you, Spooky. Thank you so much for being a very wholesome stream and streamer. Again, the English is just out the window tonight, so I sincerely apologize, everybody. But we're gonna try and make it through one way or another. All right. My job is in fintech, working with invoice accounting systems and ERPS. I completely understand what you mean. Oh, my heart goes out to you, Sunmar. We did a lot of payment processing, especially in the third party payment space. So what do you want to call these? Like payment middlewares. Your Zelle, Stripe, insert all of those fun payment processing engines. Yeah. You would think that you could split some of those domains up, but nope. You start to realize how tight of a web that stuff actually is. Okay, so in this effort to kind of split some of the greet logic out of the greet handler, what I've gone ahead and done is I've created a couple of packages, which packages in this case are just folders. And for the greeter, I've just done with a greeter.go. So we're just going to do package greeter. And what I would like to have is this greeter struct. And the greeter struct, the thought that I was having around message configuration is that I would really like to be able to have some type of configuration file that would be able to say, okay, for this channel, when somebody messages somebody, or when somebody messages in the channel, I would like to greet them using either this particular message format or a series of message formats. Now, technically, that would just mean that we have a function off of a greeter called greet that expects a target, which is a string. And since the greet doesn't really have any context of channel or WebSocket connections, it knows nothing about how we are actually sending those greetings outward. What we effectively end up with is kind of a very simple greet that takes in a target, which is the person that we are greeting, and returns a string. So if we wanted to just kind of replicate what we have right now, we would say something like welcome. And actually, this would probably be a format.sprintf. And we'd have welcome %s target. And that would just replicate what we already have, which doesn't seem to do a lot, all things considered. But what we could do is we could say the greeter is a greeter. This is a... Oh dear. I didn't actually yoink. And yes, I know it's yank, but come on. A feature called yoink? Why not? Greeter is a greeter, undeclared name of greeter. We'll get there. And then we could just do... greeter dot greet, and this would be username. Something to that effect. We did not close the parentheses because, of course. And what else do we have? What cares what you call it? That you're using Vim is what matters. I do love me some Vim. I have to admit a tiny little bit of defeat. At work, we have a monolithic Java repository. And that monolithic Java repository absolutely chews through the JDT, the Eclipse JDT language server that I try to use for Java and Vim. And it is just a terrible experience. I have admitted defeat, and I just accept the IntelliJ setup that they have curated over however long now. I'm using IntelliJ. I do have the Vim plugin installed on IntelliJ. At a bare minimum, I do at least have Vim movements. But oh, how I miss being able to do like space GR to find references. It hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. All right, let's see what we got here. So we don't use format anymore. Greeter is imported but not used, except that it's used right there, except that greeter is undeclared. So let's pop into our greeter and see what's going on. So we got a greeter, type greeter, func greeter with a greet. Greet does a thing. Okay, so that should be... That should be accessible. Why not accessible? Why are you not accessible? Quick fix. Quick fix doesn't know how to fix it. Oh dear. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a problem. If the quick fix doesn't know how to fix it, then how am I going to fix it? And that's usually when people start running around the lab like, wee woo, problem. The tool doesn't tell me what to do. Help. Let's see here. Except that you're not complaining. Well, it is complaining that there's an undefined... Oh wait, do I have to do greeter.greet? How you doing, chat? I think my brain actually switched off for a second, like, yo, dog, you know that greeter package thing? We are doing a little bit of a stutter, a heckin' stutter right now, but it's all right. Greeter.greeter, greeter.greeter. Greeter.instance, greeter.grandma. Dare we call this a greeter.grandma? Hey, chat, what would you prefer that we call this struct? Because the package is called greeter. Do we call the struct a greeter, or do we call the struct a greeter.associate, greeter.employee, greeter.assistant? What shall we call it? I'll leave that up to you guys. Heckin' stutter! Because spooky, whenever we say greeter.greeter, effectively what we're greeting is the greeter with the greeter, but the greeter is already greeted by a greeter, so therefore, is that not a stutter? Maybe like it's messenger, then greeter, greeter.polite greeter. Also, WindowCat, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. You can add more than just hello message in that package, maybe. Definitely true.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
WindowCat, thank you so much for the follow, mate. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats are available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will fit because they are, in fact, digital, and we ain't got jack for measuring. But thank you so much. Welcome. And Officer Wolf, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. How are you doing, mate? Oh my goodness, so many people stopping by. It feels so good. And boop. And we got that saved. I'm back now at desktop so I can watch all my friends at once. Welcome back, Ina. On a curious note, how many streams do you have up and running at this current time? Just curious for science. Working on I2C clock for the Ponagachi and having le problems. Enter that point where my brain goes electrical engineering and just my neck snaps sideways. 4, Ina, you have effectively become the day trader of Twitch streams. Hello, Tilly. Tilly has come to say hello. Tilly. Hello. Our resident lab supervisor is walking around, just, saying hello. You thought you were late, but then there was me. Web and Keyboard, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome back to the lab. They are good investments as well. Exactly. All right, so this hasn't really done a whole lot for us because all we've really done is we've just moved that format.sprintf into this object, which is now in a thing, which has now become an additional dependency on our registered greeter, which means that we also have to come back into the main.go. Hey, main.go, how you doing, bruh? Oh, you need a greeter now? Yeah, you need a greeter? Well, here you go. How about you have a greeter? Oh, wait, we don't have a greeter. Greeter. I'm tempted to call this something, but, greeter equals greeter. Hey, greeter. How you doing? We gotta do a quick fix, and then we gotta do a think, and then we gotta do a boop, and then we gotta do a greeter. Walmart greeter? Absolutely. But it's definitely not one of those Walmart greeters that's like, welcome to Walmart, get your shit and get out. It's definitely a far more polite greeter than that. Because we can't be having rude bots in the lab. Just saying. Rude bots are not allowed. Kind bots are allowed. Yes, so now we've created a dependency, and that dependency is now in our registered greeter. Does greeter variable shadow greeter package name? Surprisingly, it doesn't. Huh. That's a very good question, WindowCat. I guess it doesn't. Color me confused. You know what? That's actually going to confuse the crap out of me, so just in case, we're going to call it GreetBot. GreetBot is a greeter. And we're going to call this GreetBot. You've made me very curious, WindowCat. And just in case for the shadow, greeter config, we're going to call it the greeterbot, GreetBot. Because we don't have enough bots in this code. We need more bots. Greeter. Yes. All right. So, but this hasn't really done anything for us, all things considered, because the greeter, if we recall, also has the concept of a ledger. And the ledger is basically our way of checking if we've already greeted somebody before. Because again, we don't really want to, every time somebody messages, we don't want to say, it's like, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? So how are you been today? Hey, how you doing? I'm good, thanks. Hey, how you doing? Like, we don't want one of those bots. So we do need the concept of the ledger. And if we were to push the ledger into the greeter, then what we would effectively be doing is encapsulating the ledger concept inside of greeter. So for all that the greet handler is aware is that it's kind of acting as the interface or the adapter. Adapter? Maybe. I keep using that term, but I struggle as to whether or not this actually counts as an adapter pattern. It's the interface between the bot and a bot message and the greet functionality. So what I think would make sense is if we did something like this. So if we delete the ledger, what if we brought the ledger into here? Let's see here. Always when I come to the point where I name the class the same as the package, there's something wrong in the neighborhood. You could also fix these problems by doing relative.import, but this is bad practice as far as I know. Which I don't think I've ever done before. Yeah, I don't think I've ever done a relative.import. Yeah. Unless I'm just completely mixing up the terminology, which I apologize, everybody. Hey.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Thrilldo, thank you so much for the follow, mate. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats are available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit because they are in fact digital, and the bots kind of have the little grabby hands. They don't really have the measury hands. So, minor design flaw, but we didn't really expect to have such support. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. And yes, that message does change every time because I'm kind of winging it as I go. So the thought here would be that if we were to greeter.greeter, Spooky has spoken, we must name this greeter.greeter. So it would be greeter.greeter.greeter. I see a bit of a meta play going on, Spooky. Oh yes. So, but in order for that to actually work, well, we would actually have to have a ledger package. So the other thought that I was having as I was kind of pondering this feature was that ledger doesn't really make sense to exist inside of the bot. The ledger might make sense to exist inside of the greeter. Maybe. Yeah, it might make sense to do that. What do you guys think? The ledger is effectively just a persistence store, and for all intents and purposes, if we actually look at the interface, it just adds a value to the ledger and checks if a value is absent from the ledger, which checking for absence versus checking for existence may seem a little backwards, but more or less we did that for readability in terms of the business logic that we were actually implementing. So we say, if username is absent from the ledger, then add them to the ledger and send them a message. Versus if ledger.present equals false, I preferred to have just a ledger.absent method that more or less does the same thing. Hello, supervisor. How are you doing? Have you come to supervise the experiments? Supervisor has come to supervise the experiments. Vote to make greeter an interface. Interesting idea. Let's see here. Make greeter an interface. I thought that was a huge cup, but it's a bowl. Well, technically, it's a matcha teacup. Let me spin that around. There you go. It's one of these little guys, and it's a fantastic teacup. Just saying. I'm actually out of matcha very, very early. Was I drinking matcha? Yes, indeed. It is a cup. How do you think we do the science? Tea infused. Not my cup of tea. It's fair. Matcha is definitely a thing that seems to be a I like it or I don't like it type of deal. I don't know. Something about matcha just catches me. It might be because I just have a general fascination with green tea. And green teas just make me happy. I don't know why. So curious, Window Cat, about the vote to make greeter an interface. Can you talk me through some of the thoughts there? Let's see here. This does pose an interesting question, though. Because the ledger is currently actually being used as part of the logic for whether or not we greet somebody. And inside of that that functionality is where we do the actual send message. So we could have a greeter dot has been greeted, has been gret. That's not proper English. Anybody whose English is not your first language, I must give a disclaimer. I'm an American, and therefore I speak very borked English. So please take the way that I say things with a grain of salt, because I'm American. I speak American. I barely speak English. Let's see here. That way you can make any greeter implementing greet method. Sounds like a plan. That's fair. That is fair. And in addition, as we're kind of talking about the, oh, sorry, I'm shaking the, yeah? Do you agree with that, Tilly? No. Here, y'all can have a free cat cam. she's just not interested. It's like, I was just here to make sure that you weren't doing anything stupid. Which is a losing battle, baby girl. Let's see here. So the thought that WindowCat is kind of pushing into my head is that greeter could be responsible for defining what it means to have greeted somebody already, to have already greeted. And yeah, we're kind of starting to see a little bit of an interface show up, because how you define, how you actually implement the greet and has greeted method, could change depending on what you're doing. Now, but there is a caveat to that, if you will, which is that how many different implementations would we be talking about? How many different implementations will we be talking about needing for the greeter? Because I think the greet functionality, well, here's what I was thinking. So we have a greet, and we have a has greeted. So it would be something like G greeter has been greeted. Probably would be something like that. Maybe. What about grandpa greeter and dad greeter? Okay. WindowCat, I need to know the implementation differences between a grandpa greeter and a dad greeter, and I absolutely want to implement that in this code. Please and thank you. Are we still working on the Twitch bot? We are, Ina. Because Twitch bot is fun bot. Fun bot, fun bot, fun time, fun time. So, return false, because always greet. We have two pieces of functionality that I do want the greeter to kind of be responsible for, because the current greet handler, that is the two responsibilities. If we have already greeted the given username, then we don't greet them again. But if we haven't, then we want to make note that we have greeted this person before, and then we want to greet them. So if we were to, I just want to type out the code that I would want to have. So if greeter.hasBeenGreeted username, or I guess technically this would be has not been greeted to kind of match the same approach of ledger.absent. If greeter.has not been greeted or has not greeted username, that reads a lot better. That reads a lot more like English. Oh, give me just a sec, Phil. If greeter has not greeted username, then take this stuff, plop it up here. Kind of looks like the exact same thing. Right? Never seen this person before. This part we wouldn't do. Only this part we would do. Equals greeter dot greet username, and then send message. I do have a preference for splitting lines out like this, and this is partially a little bit of PTSD from Java. I prefer to have things like this on their own line so that if a stack trace came out, then I would know, oh, there was a problem at this line and not 4 potential problems on the same line. Okay, so we do have a redemption for keyboard song. Let's see if we can get this to work. Hopefully that was okay, because I had no idea what I was playing. Oh, there's actually a sound way down here. I just figured out that my keyboard has a whole row of sounds that I have not been utilizing. Experiments for later. Thank you so much for the redemption, Feel. Some UID, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. Fantastic name, by the way. Let's see here. A little low volume-wise, but could hear. Good to know. How do you decide between snake, camel, and slug case for file names? Well, so for me personally, I kind of prefer camel case for the most part. That's just kind of a personal preference. But for this, for the snake case, this is actually a Go convention. So if a file name ends in _test, then that has special meaning. And the Go tooling knows that this is a test file. And so when you run Go test, it will pick those files up. Versus this is just regular code. This, on the other hand, was more of me kind of doing an interface and then implementation kind of cheat naming. I'm personally not a fan of it, but it was kind of this idea of we have a ledger interface, and then we have this Redis implementation of the ledger. All things considered, it would probably have made more sense to call this Redis ledger, to name the file after the kind of core type that exists in the file. And then same thing for here, just have a in-memory ledger instead of a ledger-in-mem. Yeah, it's a little inconsistent in terms of the naming. And some UID, I think you've just inspired me to change that. So we are probably going to fix that here in just a second. So thank you for the question. Yes. So let's actually go ahead and do that. Ledger in memory. We're going to move that to the ledger package, and we're going to call this inmemory.go. And then we're going to do the same thing for ledger Redis. We're going to move that into ledger redis.go. And then same thing for this. We do want to move the bot ledger into ledger. So we end up with something that looks a little bit like that. Close that out. Double check to make sure. So this is no longer the bot package. This is now the ledger package. Same thing for this. And same thing for this. Appreciate for the explanation. Sorry to distract you from the function. No worries, mate. I adore questions like that because curiosity is not something to be sorry about. And that's the whole reason why we're here. We are some curious folks that are attempting to do science. And by science, I mean computer science. Just saying. There we go. So now that fixes that. I adore distractions. Oh, look, a butterfly. A tillyfly? No? Oh, she's just pulling her hair out on the floor because, of course she does. Alrighty, let's see here. So now this actually, we do need to fix that real quick. We need to come back into the greeter. And then we want to change this to has not greeted. Has not greeted determines if the given target has not been greeted. It's a little redundant, but it's for the docs. Greet generates a greeting for the given target. Targreet? I think Vim autocomplete tried to kind of inject itself into the middle of that. Go home, Vim. You drunk. So we are going to address the interface question here in just a second. What I wanted to do, though, is I wanted to start to move things out a little bit. I want to get something like that. So we have our username. We check if the username is empty because we don't greet empty usernames. You could argue that this is logic that belongs in the greeter. Yeah, I might make that decision later. Docs for the sake of docs? What is this, fintech? Just poking in a little bit of that PTSD, just a little bit. If the greeter has not greeted username, print that we haven't. Sleep, which I actually want to cut this down a little bit. I do want to take that down to 3 seconds. And then message is greeter.greet and bot.send message. It's a little weird that greet, the way that greet is named, but kind of like it. Thank you for the hydrate fuel. Okay. So we could actually implement this pretty simply as g.ledger.absent target. If we are indeed bringing in ledger as a dependency of greeter, which I am inclined to do, then that means that has not greeted just becomes a question of whether ledger does not have the given key, and if they actually there's a thing that we need to do here. Delete. Let's see here. Yeah, this is getting a little complicated. Although, we could just add this as part of the greet. We could say ledger.add target. G.ledger.add. So the thought that was kind of going through my head there was, well, in the previous if statement, we had, if we haven't greeted, add them to the ledger, generate the greeting, and then go forward. And to kind of repeat that same logic, we're kind of breaking that logic up now into 2 separate functions instead of having it in one if statement. And that kind of gave me a little bit of pause for a second. But what that still looks like, though, we can implement the exact same functionality because we don't necessarily want to add an entry for somebody that we have greeted just if we're checking whether or not we have greeted them. We can just do that as part of the greet function. Generates greeting for the given target. And what is the phrase? What is the phrase? What is the phrase? Now this is technically a side effect. This is a function. This is a function that returns a string. It takes a string and it returns a string. However, it has this lovely hidden side effect of you're adding to the ledger. I don't know that I like that because I come from the functional programming in Scala world and I don't like side effects. I feel like a separate function is probably necessary to satiate my brain. Something like a G greeter record greeting for target. And this might return an error. Right, because I think add does indeed return an error. Yes, indeed. Record, exactly, Sunmar. My brain kind of like doubled over on itself because I had a very simple function that takes a string and returns a string, but it makes no indication that it's doing anything side effecty. And the side effect in this particular implication was I was adding state to a ledger, which if anybody is unfamiliar with functional programming, side effects are effectively things that happen as a side effect, if you will, of the current function. And the function is, in the case of greet right now, this is considered to be a pure function. It takes a string as an argument and it returns a string as a result. Nothing else happens. Everything that it needs to do, the thing that it needs to do, which is generate a string and return it, happens within the scope of this function. Nothing else changes. Whereas when we had the g.ledger.add, that is a side effect. We're not just taking a string and returning a string. We're taking a string, reaching out to some external thing and changing state somewhere, and then we return the string. See the difference? The TLDR is that functional programmers don't really like side effects because side effects are very difficult to debug. It's not the be-all, end-all. You can't avoid side effects completely, and when you try to, it gets very messy, and you start getting into the functional effect systems world, which is fun, but difficult to grok. But yeah, my brain kind of triggered there a little bit. In functional programming, all functions are stateless. As soon as you deal with state, you call that a side effect. Is that correct? I wouldn't say all functions are stateless. I would say that we kind of push that state altering functionality, or what we would call the side effects. We push side effects to the edge of the world, which the edge of the world, in my experience, has mostly been things like main functions. And then when you're building up your program, you are defining side effects. So you're building up these data structures that represent, hey, a change to a particular state, like a state monad, a change in a database, or et cetera, et cetera. You kind of have all these objects that define or describe those operations, but they don't actually execute them. And then way at the edge of the world, which is, again, typically for me, a main function, is where you actually run that code, and all those descriptions suddenly become implementations. I have grossly oversimplified the general gist there, but yes, ideally your functions are stateless, and ideally they are pure. So they don't perform side effects. They are complete. They are, what is the phrase? They're referentially transparent. They are complete in terms of every input returns an output, and the same input always returns the same output. That is more or less a pure function. We try to go for those as much as possible, but there are limits. Yes. Record greeting makes note that someone has been greeted. And effectively what we are doing is we are kind of pushing that responsibility onto the caller, which in this case is our greet handler. So it would be this. And then I think it makes sense to put that down here. Greeter.record greeting for username. We did kind of push that responsibility out. So we pushed that responsibility out to the handler, which is, I think, okay, at least for the time being. Cat cam? How convenient. There's a Tilly. Hey, baby. Can I use you for cat cam? No? Well, too bad, because you're right here. Wah. Here's a Tilly. Say hi, Tilly. Oh, he's a big girl. She is the one that absolutely does not like to be held, but we do the best we can. I'm sorry, Bean. Now she's mad, but that's okay. Because now the recording of username doesn't really have much to do with greeting itself anymore. Oh, sorry. Maybe then the function also shouldn't be called has not greeted, but more like has not seen. Because now the recording of the username doesn't really have much to do with the greeting itself. Let's see here. Let's test that theory. I'm struggling with that a little bit, purely from the perspective of has not greeted is pretty directly linked to whether or not somebody has been greeted before, in the sense of like if they are present in the ledger. But I think I see what you're saying. Because we've separated the greet from the recording of that greeting. I can see the where you're kind of going with that, Sunmar. Hello, cat. You get a free cat cam of the tiny cat trying to grab my tea. I call some shenaniganery. Don't have the full answer either. Yeah, it's fair. It's absolutely a fair thing to point out. Because the thought there is that since these two things are separate, does it really make sense for this to be kind of an encompassing thing of has not greeted? I'm inclined to say yes, just because the purpose of the greeter is to greet people. And so it's not really a tracker necessarily, if that makes any sense. In my brain, I'm kind of equating it to the greeter has one purpose, which is to greet and to determine if somebody has been greeted. It is kind of making me think that it does make sense for this to just do the recording, but yeah, it's an interesting conundrum. I think I'm gonna go with where it is right now, but I am gonna stew on that for a little bit, because that is a very fair point, Sunmar. Definitely something to consider. Okay, so I think we've made a lot of changes to the greeter, and so for here, we do need. Oh, right. We don't have a. We need a greeter.new. We need a constructor. There we go. Func new. This takes a ledger and returns a greeter. Return greeter ledger. Oops, ledger lowercase is ledger. And then because go, like that. And then that way, if we come down here, so this is not bot.newRedis ledger, this is now ledger.newRedis ledger. And then down here, we want the ledger. I think is what we want. Variable of type ledger as ledger.ledger, missing method absent. Go on. What? It is absolutely not missing method absent. Oh, is it because of this? Oh, I bet it is. Hang on, guys. Sorry, I'm like deep in thought right now, pondering. There we go. Okay. All right. Sorry, my brain kind of stopped for a second, but I forgot that ledger was a pointer. So let me catch up here. Maybe the greet function should do both. Then the do both the has not greeted check and the recording. Just hand all that responsibility to the greeter. Then the only responsibility of the bot is to tell the greeter it saw someone, and the greeter determines whether it makes sense to greet or not. A little bit event driven. Then you can determine if in the outer part of the greet function if the user was absent. Yeah, right. So that was kind of the curious question. A raid? Oh my goodness. Hey, Sorcery, thank you so much for the raid. How is everybody? Welcome, raiders. Oh my goodness, I did not get the notification. This makes me sad. That is interesting. Why didn't it give me the notification? Because that is absolutely a raid that would denote a notification. Sad day. But welcome everybody. Thank you so much for stopping by. How was Alien Isolation? How much of the spooks did we get? And thank you so much for stopping by, Raiders. How is everybody? Welcome to the lab. For all of our Raiders of the Lost Mage. Oh.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
The Shining Sun, bro. Thank you so much for the follow, mate. Welcome to the lab. Digital lab coats are available upon request. However, we cannot guarantee that they will actually fit you. They are kind of a little bit buggy. So, how many tails to the chest did you get? That's a very good question. Just saying. A flashback moment with a person who found the Nostromo black box and saw the alien ship. It was cool. That is awesome. I do apologize that I missed it. It has been a day. Let's see here. The rest was face chomps. Can confirm. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. I just lost my train of thought. Welcome, Raiders. Thank you so much for stopping by. Yes, Sunmar. So the question about the not being able to check if they've already been greeted again, American, trying to speak English. Hi, how you doing? It's this part that we do still need because of the bot.send message. Otherwise, we would have to basically return multiple. We would have to have a multiple return from the greet, which would be a little weird. Like we would have to do something like if message error equals greeter dot greet username error does not equal to nil, Then we do a bot.send message, which we could do, but that does read a little, it reads a little weird. At least to me, it reads a little weird. Hello, Nilo. Thanks so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. Yeah. Effectively, it would encapsulate all of those checks. The presence of error would effectively be if there was a connection error, or if there was if there was like you haven't greeted somebody before, or you have greeted somebody before, so suddenly it's a suddenly it's a thing that's an error, but it's not really an error. Yeah, it's definitely a rabbit hole. Just so you know, we are on chapter 10 out of 18. Holy crap, Sorcery. That is awesome. Y'all are making some fantastic progress. We're going to do a longer stream. We're going to stream for the entirety of the week because we're going to need all that time. Nah. And even though I think most of the chat at the moment is from Sorcery's stream, do give Sorcery a follow. She is a fantastic streamer. She is our wonderful mod, one of my best friends, and she is absolutely a fantastic person to watch. So do give her a follow. She's currently playing Alien Isolation for Spooky Week, and it is hilarious. So, all right, Level's going to take off. Have a wonderful rest of the stream, chat. Don't forget to hydrate, and good night. Thank you so much, Sorcery. Sleep well. Try not to have too many nightmares because of ye olde alien. And thank you so much for stopping by. And Cat Cam Pippa, I'm sorry, it should be there. I'm not entirely sure why it wouldn't be. So, it's kind of hard to see, but there's one right there. That's the supervisor. She is ensuring that we are staying on track, not spending too much when it comes to funds, laboratory funds, and she also ensures that we have a fantastic stock of tuna. Which, now thinking about it, maybe that's why the lab is so broke. Details. Yes, so I think for now we are going to go with the 3-method approach of has not greeted, greet generates the message, and then we'll have a record greeting as a secondary. I usually end up rewriting it 10 times before I'm happy, or at least somewhat content with how the responsibilities are split. Absolute mood, Sunmar. That's the thing. I try to repeat this every once in a while. Make it work, make it right, make it pretty, in that order, preferably. That's kind of the thing that I kind of chant to myself. I want to make it work, and I know I'm gonna change it. I know I'm not gonna be happy with the way that it looks. And additionally, I know that I'm not really going to be aware of all the bits and bobs that kind of connect to each other. So attempting to go too deep into abstractions too early, it's never worked out for me. And God knows I've been trying for a long time now. So I always just kind of go for what makes the most sense from a readability perspective as much as I can. I take a first stab at it, and then I kind of look at it, and I look at it from the perspective of, well, what if I'm not the person that wrote this? How does this look? And I end up rewriting it probably 2 or 3 times just from that. But again, make it work, make it right, make it pretty, in that order, preferably. All right, so greet handler is looking pretty good. We've got basically the responsibility split out into the greeter, which is now a greeter of type greeter.greeter. Because that's not stuttering at all. We now have our ledger that is now in its own package. And then we have the greeter itself, which right now I'm just going to keep it as a struct. I do like the idea of turning it into an interface. But for now, I'm going to leave it where it is, and I'm going to move on to the other part of this, which was the configuration. Because we do need to configure this. So right now we have the greet message as it's effectively just a hard-coded string. But the ultimate goal for this was to be able to hide the fact that I would really like the greeter to change its greeting based on what channel I'm in, based on maybe externally. I just, for one day, I wanted to say welcome. For the lab, I wanted to say welcome to the lab. And for October, I wanted to say holy shit, it's spooky in here, or something of that nature. But the idea is that I would like for that to be configurable. I don't want it to be stuck in code like this. So what we really need is to double check to make sure that this is actually still working. Let's see here. It's late here already, and thanks to the brilliant minds who thought daylight savings was a good idea. Thank you so much for stopping by, Sunmar. I appreciate you stopping by the lab. Daylight savings time is an absolute pain in the ass. Good luck to you, and I hope you sleep well. And welcome back, Ina. Thank you so much for stopping by. I think we are at a point where it would be good to do a quick check. Let's do a quick check to double check and see if the check is the check and check. And I don't know why I keep repeating the word check, but check, 1, 2. Package not found. Oh no. Oh. Let's try that again. Start. Random file is random. Oh, right, because I think I had the idea of going into configuration. It's like, wait a minute, I can't do that right now. I have to do this on stream. Delete. I think I've mentioned it at some point. I do poke around with the code outside of the code. UI handler. Yeah, we're not working on that right now. So rm bot UI handler. I do poke around on the code a little bit off stream. I don't really do a whole lot in terms of like I don't prepare for stream. I probably should, all things considered, but it's just not fun. It's mostly poking around on things like, hey, what would it take to build a UI handler? Is that something that I really want to work on right now? And then I get into it, it's like, not really, no. Kind of poke around that way. Let's see, does that still work? Hey! Never seen Connor and Kappa before. Hello! Connor Wright Kappa, thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab, and you are the honorary first person that has been greeted by the current state of the auto greeter. Welcome to the lab. Thank you so much for stopping by. We are attempting to build a Twitch bot in Go, and that is we have just gotten to the point of the auto greeter. So yeah, welcome Shito. Seems to be working pretty good at the moment. Nice. I love Go. Same. Go has gone so far into the realm of my favorite language. So I'm going to have some sleep. It was a really hard day for me. Have a good stream. Thank you so much for stopping by, Pippa. I hope you have a good night. I hope you sleep well. And thank you so much for stopping by. I hope tomorrow is a little bit better for you. I better head out for today. Christmas time job today. Hope you have a lovely stream. Thank you so much, Ina. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a good one. Sleep well. And again, thank you so much for stopping by. I'm working on a Discord bot in Java and Kotlin, but all the microservices are written in Go. That is awesome. Is this something that you're working on publicly that you want to share, or is this more of a what you call it? Is this more of a private endeavor? And also, how are you liking Kotlin? I am a day job Java developer, but I come into the stream to work on Go because this is my reprieve from Java. Alrighty. I kind of want to leave that up and running, but we're gonna yeet that off. We're gonna come into another window, stream Medgebot, and you know what? We're just gonna have this running in the background because that's kind of fun. Working on my bot is now my job. Gotcha. That is always fun. I would say that is always fun, especially when the passion becomes your like the passion becomes your project, as long as you don't get burned out of it on it, which is the kind of the big thing. But yeah, welcome to the lab. Just as a heads up, the whole point of the lab is really just to futz around, showcase that that actual development is not really knowing the answer. It's kind of working towards the answer and showing the scuffness that is day-to-day development. At least from my experience, I'm not really here to I'm not really here to be a know everything teacher because I don't know everything. I never will. But just kind of bringing people along, having some fun with Go, and learning something along the way. I've got stuff to do around the house, so I shall lurk. Thank you so much, Shining Sun Bro. I appreciate the lurk, and thank you so much for stopping by. All right, so what we need config. We need config. So I've been thinking about this a little bit here and there, trying to figure out how I actually want to represent the configuration of this greeter. And I feel like I'm about to make some people upset, but others just kind of join the meme, if you will. I'm going to call this just config. And yes, I'm going to call it YAML. I'm going to do it in YAML. I'm doing it in YAML. I'm sorry. Sorry, chat. Doing it in YAML. Here's the thought. Before you chastise me, before you throw me out, I know. More YAML. I know. First of all, Connor Ikapa, congrats. That is awesome. So you were working on the bot, you sold it, and now you're the lead developer for that project. That is awesome, mate. Congrats. And sorry, I can't think of one. Welcome. Yes, the bot is running. The bot is running in the background, and the auto greet functionality is running at the moment. So yeah, we got that running just to kind of seed some users into the Redis instance. Not long ago, reached 1.2 million users. That is awesome. That is really cool. We have no aspirations for this bot to reach that, but that is really cool. Anything in particular that stood out to you as like a big problem, like something that you guys just something that you just got really stuck on, that you got through? Asphalt, nice. I am definitely going to be looking that up later. Hey, sorry, I can't think of one. Would you mind pinging that to me? I am curious, and I would like to look that up later. So this kind of went through a couple iterations. So if we're doing a top level config, this config file that is intended to configure various pieces of the bot. Top level key for greeter, so that we know this greeter key is specifically for the greeting side of the application. And then I was going through a couple of thoughts. On the one hand, it would be kind of cool if I could do something like Medge Labs, and then the what do we want to say? The message format, perhaps, is something like welcome to the lab %s. So that's technically cheating a little bit and just using the Go FMT format directly. But that would be a quick way of doing it. Just have message format in the Go string format. That's one way of doing it. But then the thought kind of came up of, well, how do I support multiple channels that way? So like if I wanted to say do sorcery and sarcasm, it would be something like, I don't know, Sorcerer 19 hype, because yes, I have typed that emote so many times. Or it'd be %s, be something like that. And then if we did the same thing for Spooky Ghost Machine, message format would be something like it's kind of the same thing, all things considered. I am very, very creative. Spooky 127 hype, welcome, be something like that. I don't know what the context of that message was, but yes. So I can't think of one, got hijacked by spammers. Boot him! Yeet him from the chat! How would... So, but the problem that I'm kind of running into with this is this doesn't really translate very well to YAML. The problem is that this would more or less become a map of key to value, and the unmarshalling of YAML into Go objects wouldn't really play out nicely as far as I can tell. Or I think it would require me to basically take this structure, decompose it into something that is searchable, and kind of go from there. It didn't really seem to make sense to do this way. Maybe? Yeah, actually, I need to look this up. I need to go back into Go YAML. Let's see here. Did you have a look into RiveScript? I have not. No. Would RiveScript help in this scenario, Shito? And I see the discussion going on about the bot. That is incredible, Connor. That is, it's fun to hear about, especially projects that get to that level of of usage, and especially hearing about the challenges when you start to get towards that scale, which 1 million plus users is nothing to scoff at. Let's see here. So this is kind of where I was looking initially. Go YAML is, I think, the library that I would be using to support this. Still kind of TBD on whether that is the case or not. I haven't heard of a different library to use, but Go YAML kept coming up, so this is the one that I'm intending to go with. And I think this is Canonical, right? Yeah. This is the one that Canonical, the developers behind Ubuntu, use, I think. Let's see here. And then we do have a couple of examples. The thing that kind of gets me about it, though, is that we do have, so it's A is a flat, I'm going off of the example on their page, which their documentation is kind of meh. We have this, which is a flat string, and then we have this, which has nested fields, which according to this part, which would be YAML.unmarshal, this becomes a map of string. Oh, it becomes a map of interface to interface. That's not great, all things considered. Oof. Yeah, that's really not great at all. Gross. Config, I would always use the SPF 13 Viper. Oops, SPF 13 Viper? That's a fair point. One issue with having a largest bot, server bills? Damn right. Sorry, I can't think of one can attest. There's been a bit of a theme recently for me, which is how do I host the cheapest Kubernetes cluster that I can for my personal projects? And ultimately, it's basically been like, hey, bro, just host your own Kubernetes cluster. It's like, but I want a cloud command that I can use to just spin it up and down without it being expensive. And we haven't quite gotten to that point yet. Viper is a complete configuration solution for Go applications, including 12-factor apps. It's designed to work within an application and can handle all types of configuration needs and formats. It supports reading from JSON, TOML, YAML, HCL, envs, and Java properties files. Damn! That's really nice. That is really nice. Let's see here. I'm kind of curious. Okay, how does this work? Good configuration system will support default values. Default value is not required for a key. Reading config files. No gem file, though. Dispose. You get out of here with that heresy, web and keyboard. Are you trying to bring Ruby into this chat? I'm not saying that Ruby is banned. I'm just saying that it makes me sad. Let's see here. Reading configurations. Viper requires minimal configuration, so it knows where to look for YAML for config files. It supports all those. Can search multiple paths, but currently a single Viper instance only supports a single configuration file, which is fine because that's more or less what we would be doing. Viper does not default to any configuration search path, leaving default decisions to an application. Here's an example of how to search for and read a configuration file. None of these specific paths are required, but at least one path should be provided where a configuration file is expected. Okay. Don't bring Ruby here, you'll trigger Medge Labs. I do have a wee bit of a love-hate relationship. I love to hate Ruby. Hey, welcome, Luffy. Thank you so much for stopping by, mate. Yeah, we had Ina just kind of kick the door down, give 10 gifted subs, and then bust out again. It's like, thanks, Ina. Hi, bye. Holy shit. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm really digging the fact that that Viper just kind of has it has JSON, TOML, YAML, HCL, and INI built in. So the question becomes, how do you get values out? Did I just miss that completely? Flag interfaces. Flags are interesting. Remote key value stores. Now that's interesting. Getting values from Viper. Here we go. Get bool, get float, get int, get slice, get string map. Interesting. Gonna lurk while I play BG3. Have a good night. Thank you so much, Luffy. Appreciate the lurk, mate. Thanks so much for stopping by. Oh, and it has dot notation for okay, that's pretty cool. That is really cool, actually. Huh. Hee. All right, extracting a subtree. When developing reusable modules, it's often useful to extract a subset of configuration and pass it to a module. This way, blah, blah, blah. So if we had cache 1, blah, 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 cache 2, blah, 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 we could pass the cache name to a module, but it would require weird concatenation. So instead of doing that, let's pass a Viper instance to the constructor that represents a subset of the configuration. Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Interesting and strange. So specifically what I was looking at was if we had this approach here where it's greeter and then one for Medge Labs, one for Sorcery and Sarcasm, one for Spooky Ghost Machine, and then the message format is just a flat string. The way that they recommend doing that is by you can do a viper.sub, basically pushing to the specific specific child node, and then that would give you back an instance of Viper, and then out of Viper you can then use get int, get string, get blah 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 blah. That is very interesting. This is a very interesting recommendation, Shito. Thank you very much. Yeah, I have never, I don't believe I've used Viper before. This is very cool. And not to mention the fact that it supports things like YAML, TOML, JSON, blah, 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 like freaking amazing. Huh. Viper also supports unmarshalling into embedded structs. Yes. Viper uses the map structure under the hood for unmarshalling values, which uses map structure tags by default. Excellent. You have two options of unmarshalling. I should probably actually read this. Unmarshalling all or a specific value into a struct, map, etc. There are two methods, unmarshal and unmarshal key. Okay. Config struct, port name, path map. And then errors, viper.unmarshal into the struct, which this is definitely the version that I would prefer. So I'm thinking, I'm having some ideas. So what we could potentially do is we could use this, the kind of dot notation for pathing. What we could do is we could have something like this. So if we had a Viper config, we would do something like viper.sub greeter dot plus channel. Should be very interesting. And potentially this would return an error, I'm guessing, if the key is not found. Maybe. And then could we do an unmarshal into Greek config? So if we did var Greek config is greeter.config, which is an object that doesn't exist. So if we did something like that, then could we use Viper? Sub is greeter.channel name, which would effectively match our config.yaml here. So greeter would be the subtree, and then the channel would be the key here. So we could use dot notation to access it by channel. And then from there, the config object would just be, and right now it would be message format. Maybe there's more things, maybe there are less things. I could definitely see things like internationalization coming into the mix at some point, maybe. I am not going to mess with internationalization right now, just for the record. But we could potentially do viper.sub greeter.channel. Could we then use that to unmarshal that into the Greek config? And then we could initialize our bot with the Greek config and the ledger. Okay, so let's kind of piece this together one at a time. So first, in order to do this, we're going to need to go into greeter config.go. And we're just going to go ahead and restart COC because I know COC is going to have a problem with that. We come into greeter, config, package, greeter, type, config, struct. And then here, this would be message format is a string. Question is, does that require message format to be capitalized in the YAML? It didn't look like it did. It doesn't look like it is. And it did mention it was using map structure under the hood, so I'm kind of curious. Interesting. Okay. Probably won't have to come back to that. Well, we can try it. Because I am seeing... I'm not really seeing anybody, any examples that that imply that you do. So, configuration, config for a greeter in a channel. Yes, I think that should work. And then we would add a an instance of config here. We would take that config in as a parameter, and then config would become config, or would be assigned to config. And then this would just become g.config.message format. Could do something like that. Catching up here. Goals. There. Don't think so. Man, I hate Bash. I'm writing a new script to deploy a version of my bot in the development environment. I will admit, I kind of like Bash, but I like Bash for... I'm a bit of a minimalist. Again, American speaking English. Hi, how you doing? I'm a bit of a minimalist when it comes to scripts, especially when it comes to automation. But I agree to an extent that Bash does kind of start to get a little cumbersome whenever you start trying to do a lot of logic. Kind of reminds me of when what was it? There was a trick at some point that you could do like a user bin env groovy, and you could use groovy to write your shell scripts. And it was actually kind of nice. Like groovy syntax over bash syntax, but it was a bash script. But as long as groovy was installed on the box, you could effectively write groovy, a groovy script, a prepend user bin env bash or user bin env. You could basically append something to the groovy script, and then you could run that groovy script like a shell command.
Oh, good. My slow clap processor made it into this thing.
Looking for Coke. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. Unfortunately, we don't have Cokes, but we do have coats. Digital lab coats are available upon request. Can't guarantee that they will actually fit, though. Writing a deployment script for GitHub Actions, so I'm not sure if that would work. Are you deploying to AWS by chance? My GitHub Actions for deploying to AWS look far too similar to each other, but it's kind of fun. Own infrastructure? Right. It's fair. Definitely fair. Bash for days. I came for some advice if possible. Can certainly try. And also, we do have a Discord. I'll pop that in there. We do have a Discord. It's not very active. It's mostly just for in between stream Q&A, as well as for announcements for when the stream starts. So you're welcome to drop it in here. You are also welcome to drop it in the Discord, and I can grab it after stream as well, whichever way, depending on what the question is. Let's see here. So that is indeed assuming that message format And I actually want to make a note on this. Message format is a Go FMT style formatted string. This will be used to formulate greetings in the greeter. And I wanted to call that out as it being a Go FMT style formatted string. And we probably don't have to include that part, but just specifically to call out that it is expecting the %S's and all that other fun. And a hydrate, thank you so much. Sorry, I can think of one. Throw that in there. We got about 9 minutes to go, so let's see how far we can get. Oh, let me get a stretch. Oh, thank you, Con. Appreciate it. I am new to C programming, no prior experience coding, and I would like to know if I can make a simple game with it, not looking for the fancy stuff, just a simple game to practice and learn more. That's a good question. Looking for Coke. I want to say the answer is probably going to be it's going to be very difficult. It depends on what libraries are available to do game programming. So I definitely can say that there are libraries that exist for things like SDL, that wrap SDL and OpenGL, that could give you kind of a quick start for, say, creating a window, painting on a canvas, just kind of making things show up. And then for doing things like 2D game style graphics, it's definitely possible. Is it the easiest thing to get started with? I personally wouldn't say so. But yeah, I'm not really the best person to ask because I'm not really that familiar with the game development space. I've kind of dabbled here and there, but I never really got very far with it. But you might be able to find something. And yes, it's I'll just throw these in here. SDL and OpenGL are low-level graphics APIs. They are basically APIs for actually interacting with graphics hardware. But I would look for a library that's specifically for building, say, 2D game engine. Is probably a good thing to Google search. I don't know of any personally. Again, I haven't really gone into the game industry, the gaming development space, but that's the two APIs that I see used the most. So, but beyond that, I probably couldn't help too much there, I'm afraid. All right, so we have our greeter. Our greeter is now taking a config. It has the ledger. It is using the ledger for has not greeted for record greeting. And then greet is using g.config.message format in a format.sprintf. Woof. That's a lot of pieces. Let's see how many of them are actually connected. Okay. Let's see. Let's see if we can actually get this to work. So in order, I think I would like to bring Viper into the mix. Thank you for your kindness and your help. Absolutely looking for code. Thank you so much for stopping by. Let's see here. And again, you are more than welcome to drop into that Discord. We do have a number of people that are in the Discord right now. You might be able to find somebody that could help you. But we are more than happy to try. All right, so we need a go get. Let me get the terminal going. Go get -u. And of course, I didn't actually import that properly, but let's do that. Excuse me. I'll get a drink real quick. I can feel my voice starting to go. Okay, let's Let's do a quick COC reset. I would import Viper first to make it work. But why, Shito? Can't the code just find itself? Like, why is that not a thing? I don't know what that voice was. I think I just dipped into like 60-year-old smoker? Question mark? All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so SPF 13 Viper is now in the code. All right. Okay, so V equals Viper.sub. Is this a thing? Aha! Maybe. Nope. Cannot take address of Viper.sub value of type Viper.viper. Okay. Let's see. How would we do this? I mean, the alternative is that we could just use the Viper object and then just populate the config struct manually. Let me think. Yeah, so we could use this, which would give us, I think that's what we're getting from the Viper.sub. Because what we effectively have here is a bunch of, we have the get string, etc., etc. So at this point, we could just do a get string. This would be message format. And then what we could do is, so we could have this is our greeter config, and then we could do config or greet config equals Did I? Oh, I did. Thank you, Shito. I don't know why I have such an obsession with spelling unmarshal as two L's. I genuinely don't understand why I do that. But you know what? Look at that. So Viper.sub gets the greeter.channel, and then we unmarshal that kind of substructure, that child structure, into greeter.config, allegedly. Then we construct our greetbot off of that configuration, and off we go. Herm. All right. Moment of truth. Well, moment of truth considering that I didn't actually set Viper up. I didn't actually do any of the configuration for like, hey, point to this. So the question is there just a way to do like viper.read config file and point it directly to the config file? Is that a thing? Big brain moments? Nah. Okay. Because all things considered, I don't really need to search for it when I already have read from reader is possible. Okay. Viper dot. Nope, that's not what I want. That's not what I want. Read configs bytes new buffer. I don't know what happened there. Oh my goodness. Hang on. I always forget this. IO reader read for file. Create an IO.reader from a local file, which is one option. os.open. os.open. So that would be the question is, do we viper.read config? I mean, technically this is kind of telling Viper how to do instead of what it typically does. But at the same time, I don't necessarily want it to be reading multiple things. Config.yaml. So we could do something like that. Too many arguments. Too many arguments on what exactly? $715, how you doing, mate? Thanks so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab. We are attempting to add configuration into the code. Because configuration. And you know what? Why don't I just follow this? Why don't I just follow the example that they give? Because that feels like it would be so much smarter. So, initialize configuration and read from config.yaml. Boop. That's a lot of code that we just copy pasted. Let's make sure that we actually do the thing. Does this return a... It doesn't return anything. Sad day. Okay. So we're gonna boop. And a boop. We don't want that. We don't want that. We do want that. And a boop. And a boop. And I do like the shorthand version of this. And a boop. Excuse me. And here we have change to this log.fatalf. And then we can change that to, oh my goodness. I think my voice just died on me, so sorry guys. How goes the bot creation so far? So far, pretty good. We've got the auto greeter working. We are in the process of, this will probably be the last thing that we do on stream tonight. But we are in the process of reading in a configuration file, which should work per channel. Let's see, this is a fatal read config.yaml. Yes, something like that. So in theory, if that works proper, config is config.yaml in the current working directory, which is kind of I might think about that, but this will do for now. And then down here is where we use Viper. to do the config. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of curious if this is actually gonna work. Seems like ping pong is still working, thankfully. Let's kill that. Let's see what happens. How are we gonna do, chat? Place your bets. We're gonna do it in one go. Is it gonna die? What's gonna happen? You might as well be speaking Chinese because you lost me. I get that a lot, Shining Sun, bro. Let's see here. Bulletproof software. It's working as expected. Exactly. It was supposed to explode completely before actually starting. What? Your bot doesn't do that? Imported and not used because of course. I always do that. I always do that. Stat. It just works. Pow. Sometimes it works. Other times it doesn't. It works until it doesn't. That's the phrase that I've kind of latched onto recently. I really liked that version. Redeem Hydrate. Thank you so much. Sorry, I can think of one. I appreciate it. Aha. Config file, config, not found in app. Hey guys, you know why that is? Ladies and gentlemen, when you are using Docker, if you are not copying in your resources into Docker, wait a minute, I am copying my resources into Docker. No, I ain't. Copy from builder, user source app, config.yaml. Bada boop. Yes. If you are using Docker, you actually have to bring files into the final Docker container. Because if you don't, it's not going to find the file. Who'd have thought? YAML versus YML. I was a very big fan of .yml for a long time, Shito. I think I was in that mindset of like 3 letters is enough. So why do we have YAML? But then again, at the same time, I was also writing out .json and blah, 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 and all this other stuff. I was like, hey. Oh dear. All right, let's get out of here. Get out of here. Let's do a source and a start. Am I a wizard? No, I'm a software developer. Nowhere near as cool, and unfortunately, we don't get the wands. Ooh. Hello. Invalid memory address or nil pointer dereference. I think that means that it didn't find the stuff. That's interesting. And that also showcases that there is indeed an error case here. So we want to say conf sub equals viper.sub, and then we want to do conf sub dot unmarshal, and then we want to say if conf sub equals nil, then we have a problem. Log.fatalf fatal config not found, or I should call this so you're a net runner. I'm a street samurai myself. Key we want to do, what is it, key %s not found in config, and then we want to do key or conf key equals format.sprintf greeter dot %s channel. Oh, wait a minute. It's written with the hashtag. Thank you, Shito. Shit. I thought I was being clever. I think that's fixable. This is conf key, and this would be, well, actually, that would just be, yeah. But thankfully, that did, that did at least show us that there was indeed an error case here. Because if you do a viper.sub and that subtree is not available, then you basically get back a nil pointer, which then .unmarshal would fail with the nil pointer dereference, as we just saw. So now the question becomes, can we can I be no, because hash is anything. Shit. All right, fine. Strings dot trim channel hash. I'm just imagining that Shito was sitting there watching that and going, which, to be fair, I was too. Now that I see it, I just have that moment of like, oh. All right, let's see. Let's see where we're at. We are 15 minutes over stream, but by God, I wanna see this work. I wanna see it work. Come on. You can read my mind. I think it was just that like great minds think alike moment of like, wait a minute. Yum. Which, yes, that is roughly how my brain works. Aha. So greeter.medglabs not found in config. Okay. So at least that part is working. Greeter medglabs. Is that because it's the top level key by chance? I don't know, Shito. Some dude just came in here and was like, hey, you should try Viper. I was like, okay, let's try Viper. And then we tried Viper, and look at this shit. It's kind of making me wonder. I think what we can do is we can do a little bit of debugging here. We can go into main.go, and way up here, I think there was a Viper dot all keys. Yeah. All keys return all keys holding a value regardless of whether they are. Nested keys are returned with a v.keyDelim separator. Fantastic. So what I would like to do is fmt.println viper.getAllKeys. Oh, is it me? No. Go run. I think I can still do go run main.go. Oh. I forgot I made things difficult on myself because I now have all these interdependencies with Redis and so forth. That tells me that I need some Redis configuration. More things to go into the config file. Woo! All right. Appreciate your patience, everybody. We are indeed going to finish here in just a moment. I just want to see it work. Okay, so what do we have? We have greeter.medglabs.message format, greeter.sorceryandSarcasm.message format, and greeter.spookyghostmachine.message format. So I guess you can't do... Huh. That's interesting. I'm just waiting to say congrats. I appreciate it, son, bro. Okay, so then in that case, then that to me says that we can simplify this even more. We can simplify this to so effectively that means that we're not really going to do the unmarshal is what that looks like. So for the time being, we are going to add more to this, which means that we are going to want to make that part work. And I am very curious as to why that would not... Sub returns a new Viper instance representing a subtree of this instance. Sub is case insensitive for a key. Huh. Sub returns nil if the key cannot be found. Yeah, so that's effectively what we have here. Riddle me confused, chat. Yeah, well, all that means, though, is that we can do this. We can change this to conf key, and then we can just have this. So this will be greet config. We can just do the greeter.config. We can have this look like message format is Viper dot get. So we're not going to do that part. We're not going to do that part. We can basically just do... Oh. Let's see here. Maybe the name of the message format property. Writing message dash format. Okay. Let me grab that. Undo that. And then we're going to have that code there. And then let's go to config YAML. So this would be message dash format. Like that. Ow. I don't know what happened to my fingers there. I mean, alternatively, maybe it would make sense to, well, but no, because the issue that it's having is that it's trying to find message dot format, sorry, blah, blah, blah. Let me go back to main.go here. The issue is that this part is actually failing on me, so it's not finding. Excuse me. It's not finding greeter dot channel name because it's only finding greeter dot channel name dot message format. It's finding the whole tree and not like a subtree. Oh, is there an issue? What's the issue here? Wait, what's the issue here? Comp sub equals nil, type mismatch, type string and nil. Why? Oh, right, because this is a viper.sub. Saub. There we go. Ow, heard that. What? You heard nothing. You heard nothing. I don't want to talk about it. Oh, I ran out of water. Oh no. I can slowly feel my voice going down. Slowly but surely. Hello, broadcaster. Hello, Serb King. Thank you so much for stopping by. Welcome to the lab, where we are attempting to build a Twitch bot in Go, and at the moment we are attempting to shove configuration into the bot. And it's not working very well. Oh. Well, that did a thing. We're hacking the CIA. Huh. No, I'm absolutely going to say thank you, but I am confused. I am confused. Yeah, no, I'm confused. Why is that a thing? Oh, Jesus. Huh. So we definitely need to fix that part. Percent bang extra string equals syrup. The YAML wasn't correct, so we couldn't extract the subtree. Huh. I was unaware that that snake case was not proper for Yeah, I was unaware that snake case was not proper, or for that camel case was not proper for the YAML. Interesting. When you overthrow the scientist that created you, don't kill me. All right. Well, Sunbro, see, the thing is that you have to basically bribe the bot, and the bot really enjoys songs, so you basically have to play it little tunes, and it'll be satiated. YAML for Viper was not correct. Maybe Viper can't read camel case. Ah. Gotcha. Okay. Interesting. Well. Are you trying to break the bot webbing keyboard? Are you trying to break the bot right now? Because I am very pleased. We did it. It's a little scuffed, but we did that part. So now I got to fix the extra %s that's apparently in there. And we may not do Go FMT directly. I might do something. Well, let's see here. I might do something like mustache or handlebars or something that can be compiled at like that first part, just so that we can basically catch things like that. Like, hey, BT Dubs, your format is not correct. You're gonna have to fix that. So we will definitely have to look into what type of format we want to use for the config file. And additionally, now that the config file is actually working, we can start looking into things like adding other things to config. So changing the nickname, changing the channel that we're going to be connecting to. There's all kinds of things that have just opened up for us. A whole new world. Docker up WordPress? Excuse me? Y'all are the best. Sorry, Docker up Ghost. There you go. There you go. Alrighty. Well, that I think about does it for tonight. So thank you all so much. The support has been immense tonight. I genuinely appreciate you guys coming out and supporting the lab. I do apologize for missing the last couple Fridays. It's just been a hectic time, but I'm so happy that we are back. That we are back to getting into this. Was it amazing? I don't know. Web and keyboard. Have you been practicing? I appreciate y'all coming back. I'm so happy to get back to it. We are still planning this time around. We are still planning to have stream on Friday. And I did incorrectly state the time in the Discord. I am looking to start at around 5:30. So for anybody that is dueling between sorcery and my chat, please feel free. Finish up the alien isolation with sorcery, and then if you want to, pop over to the lab. But thank you all so much. I genuinely appreciate you all being here. And how much fun is that? How much fun is it to actually be able to get through things even though we're almost 30 minutes over? So thank you, everybody. Take care. And I will see you all in the lab next time. See ya.